マイケル、ヤコブ、リエビッチ先生の、お話になります。では発表を準備させていただきます。いいです。
Honored audience, thanks for inviting me today. I will be speaking about Asian innovation in pharmaceutical and medical device industry beyond tomorrow. As we can witness, East Asia is becoming an engine of global manufacturing industry, and here particular important landscape is surrounding the largest of nations in Southeast Asia. What we can witness here is that Asia versus the United States of America has a far more faster composite annual growth rate of 44% against 18% in the US. What we can see here is a figure presenting healthcare spending in terms of USD billions, and again, proportion of residents' medical payments. The next slide is showing composition of the proportion of Chinese residents' medical payment, and as we can see, the insurance coverage in China is evolving rapidly. McKinsey Global Institute assessment claimed that over the past decade, 1 out of each $2 in new investments worldwide went to Asia, or 1 out of $3 went to China, which is very impressive. Among the G5000 companies, as we can see now, there are leading 4 Japanese and 4 Chinese companies, and we shall come back to that again later. Projected Asian market value is about to reach 2.4 trillion this year. There are a few important trends to underline. First is that pharmaceutical expenditure future projections are far exceeding real GDP growth for at least 5% in most nations of the region. We can also see that saturated markets such as Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong Autonomous Region, they all do have growth potentials driven by unmet medical needs, but by far, of course, the largest share of real GDP growth will take place in emerging Asian markets. Typical example is Malaysia with its halal industry of vaccination products not derived from pigs, which is about to reach 130 billion valuable sales worldwide. We can say that the Association of Southeast Asian Nations are mostly net importers of pharmaceuticals. When we speak about active pharmaceutical ingredients, Singapore remains the only one capable of new drug development, while China and India both have substantial capabilities. Here, Eastern China tends to specialize in small molecule targeted medicines, while South China's capacities are devoted to biologicals and monoclonal antibodies. We can see here that literacy in usage of advanced healthcare applications and artificial intelligence is exceptionally high, even outside Japan in this region. And we can also see that harmonization of good manufacturing practices is taking place. At the next scale, we have a percentage of healthcare professionals who currently use any digital health technology and mobile health applications. Consequences of widespread population aging are rapid, and we may witness the global demographic pyramid with most of the aging process moving to Asia. This graph was prepared by my teacher, Seritsu Ogura Sensei of Hosei University, and it speaks about the shrinking labor workforce in Japan, which contributes to dwindling base of taxpayers being far less capable of supporting ever more massive layer of retired and elderly citizens. What we can see here, the consequence of widespread population aging or acceleration of aging, and China is about to exceed Japan, and Korea is now a super aging nation with, I think, fertility rate 1.1 children per woman, which is, for example, in all of Europe, still unthinkable. The bottom threshold is about 1.4. What we can say here that Japan has adopted an array of reforms, advancing health technology assessment procedures, introduction of cost-effectiveness methodologies, Sakigake designations, and PMDA and the Ministry of Labor, Health and Welfare is pushing towards real innovation in Japanese soil. Now we can see the Chinese system of health insurance is expanding rapidly to achieve universal health coverage, but coverage still remains quite shallow in terms of services and pharmaceuticals. We can also say that Japan remains the fastest growing medical technology market in the Asian region. And we can here witness that a few facts about medical equipment manufacturing. Southeast Asia offers indeed a significant room of opportunity in this area, and private insurance market remains underdeveloped, with high out-of-pocket spending, and as we can see, immense social spending coming as a boomerang, in fact, for neglected advanced stages of disease. Here we can see the pharmaceutical industry is rapidly growing in Southeast Asia. Composite annual growth rate, for example, in remote patient monitoring systems is almost 13%, and demand for home-based medical monitoring devices is another notable feature of the region, while keeping in mind shrinking of family caregiving. We can say again that Asian medical device market is about to reach a value of 3.7 billion in 2028, and next year Asia will definitely surpass Europe, becoming the second largest regional markets, contributing with 35 to incremental growth. We can witness that Japan holds a strong second position as a global hub for medical devices, and that China has already taken over the second place in terms of pharmaceutical market. Pharmaceutical expenditure all around this region continues to outpace real GDP growth. We can also say that Singapore is now hosting over 1.5 times more headquarters of large pharmaceutical companies than Beijing, Tokyo, Shanghai, and Hong Kong combined altogether, and 4 leading Japanese pharmaceuticals such as Takeda, Astellas, Daiichi Sankyo, and Otsuka, alongside with 4 leading Chinese companies, are listed in top 25 pharmaceutical companies, ranking as per their annual net revenues in the previous year. Thanks for your attention.
はい、ありがとうございました。お話としてはどちらかというと、コロナというか一般的な話が多くてですね、高齢化や少子化で、AI やモバイルヘルスの、存在感が今後増えていくという話であるとか、あとやはり中国とかシンガポール、日本も頑張っているけれども、それらの国の存在感が高まっているという話が、聞けました。やはり気になるのはですね、やはりこういった業界がコロナでどういうふうな影響を受けているのかというところになるんですけれども、そういったところについて、マイケル先生に質問してみたいというふうに思います。
So the question was, were there any effects of COVID-19 pandemic on pharmaceutical and medical device developments in Southeast Asia or East Asian countries?
Thanks for your question. Actually, I was living in Tokyo exactly in the time when pandemics has begun, commencing 2020. The point is that it had an impact in terms of disrupted supply chains and trade routes, particularly with regards to active ingredients that are imported from overseas. such as complex biological ingredients, stereotypically targeted the small molecules and monoclonal antibodies, biologicals, coming from the US or Israel or parts of Western Europe, such as Switzerland or Denmark, etc. So yes, there were delays, there were shortages of some medicines, and in case of medical devices, it appears that the problem was milder because the regional hubs for medical device manufacturing are actually based on the soil of Southeast Asian nations. As I have mentioned previously, most of ASEAN nations of Southeast Asia, most of these 10 countries are net importers of pharmaceuticals, while China and India are far more self-reliant in this case. Also, it is important to mention that relying on domestic manufacturing base, and particularly on generic medicines, in cases of all three large leading nations, China, Japan, and India, has contributed to great self-independence during the pandemics. So these disrupted supply chains did not actually create substantial drug shortages, particularly not the ones of the essential drugs such as analgesics, like opium analgesics, like essential antibiotics, essential cytostatic medicines to treat patients in oncology, etc., etc. So yes, there were effects, but they had rather modest size, given also the undisputed reality that mainland China is the major supplier of essential and generic medicines and components for small medical devices, also far beyond Asia, North American and European, and of course Russian, Eurasian markets. So there were effects, but actually East Asia was in more beneficial position compared to most wealthy Western OECD economies.
Thank you very much. I'll be translating right now. 今回の件でパンデミックの最中、先生は東京にいらしたということだったんですけれども、主に影響があったのはそのサプライチェーン、どのように材料が運ばれるかの方に影響があったということでした。そして主にその薬の創薬の方に主な影響を与えていて、というのもその私が質問した東南アジアだったり南アジアの国々は材料のために北アメリカだったりそちらの方からその薬の材料を持ってきているので、その薬を組み立てることができない、そのようなことでした。むしろその医療機器の方はもともとの材料が東南アジアとかの方で作られることが多いため影響はより少なかったということでした。で、このパンデミックを通してそのジェネリックの薬を自国で作るということの重要性について、再認識、日本や中国や、その他の先進国では特に再認識することができ、また中国などそのサプライチェーンをしっかり自国で持っている国は、影響をより受けずに済むことができたという話がありました。なのでサプライチェーンが崩れてしまったこと、他国からその薬の材料が持ってこれなかったことが最も大きな影響でしたということでした。
Thank you very much. じゃあ次